Hello and welcome back to Maya Conscious Living. I'm Gabrielle, the founder of Maya Conscious Living. Today I am recording from beautiful Sri Lanka in a gorgeous yoga shala here. And we'll be talking about something very near and dear to my heart, and that is the divine feminine. Now, you might have heard this term before, or maybe it's new to you. So we'll start at the beginning. Inside all of us, there are two energies at play at all times, regardless of you're a male or a female or non binary. We have two energies inside of us. We have the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And today we'll be focusing on the divine feminine. But for context, the masculine energy provides structure, clarity, and purpose, while the feminine energy is about the flow of the energy, the intuition, the nurturing, the creativity, the chaos. So you can think of it as the masculine being this structure or container, and the divine feminine being the energy that flows within this container. So we need both. And they're both powerful in their own ways. But in today's world, we've been primarily focused on the masculine. So our society is set up in a way that it gives preference and power to the masculine energy. So most of us are operating from our masculine. And for a lot of women, especially, that means that we are disconnected from our feminine essence. And this causes people to feel a sense of burnout, a sense of purposelessness, or just that vague sense of something's off in their life, something's not right. On the external world, you could have everything you wanted, all of your ducks can be in a row, but you could feel this deep sense of longing that there's something more, something that you're missing. And that tends to be because we're not in alignment with our energies. So we're more in the masculine. It could be also that you're more in the feminine, but in today's world, it's more likely that you're operating from your masculine and not your feminine. So today we're going to be talking about the divine feminine and what it means and how we look at it, how we come back into alignment and start to embody this energy in our lives. But before we get into that, I just want to say that this isn't against feminism. So feminism has empowered us to prove that we can do anything a man can do as a woman. And that was necessary. And we absolutely can do anything a man can do. We proved that. However, in our journey to show strength and to show our equality, we took on the traditionally masculine energy to do that. And this underplays the strength of the feminine energy. So now is the time where we can start calling back in the feminine energy and showing the strength and the power that is the feminine. Because the feminine is fiercely powerful in its essence. And we'll save this for another video, but that's why the feminine was suppressed, because of how powerful it is. So it's time to call that back in. It's time to show the power of the feminine energy. And it's not to also say that the masculine energy is bad or that the power of the masculine is bad. It's not. It's just that we need both and we need balance. So it's time to call back in the feminine energy. And by calling back in this energy within ourselves, we're also reclaiming the parts of ourselves that were suppressed and honoring our wholeness and our truth in our entire feminine essence. And when we reconnect with our feminine essence, amazing things begin to happen. We feel more balanced in our lives, feel a sense of wholeness. We trust ourselves deeply, which is something that a lot of women struggle with, and we'll get into that later. But we feel more empowered in our body and in our choices. And we discover a strength within us that doesn't require force or push, but rather just flows through us. And it's like when we come in alignment with this, things start to flow, coming into place when you start to trust yourself and trust your intuition. So that is the power of the feminine. So how do we start to look at the feminine when it is this complex energy that is so many different things, that is that all comes together and makes us whole in our feminine energy? Well, so we do this by looking at 10 archetypes that make up the whole divine feminine energy. And these archetypes are different expressions of the whole. So it's not to go through the archetypes and see which ones you relate to and which ones you don't relate to and pick the ones you relate to and run with those. That's not how these archetypes work. These archetypes are personality traits of the whole. So we have each and every single one of these archetypes within us. And these archetypes show us where we're either embodied in this essence or we're in our shadow space or hidden or suppressed from it. So that is the power of using these archetypes, because each one of them has the ability to show us where we're embodied and where we still need to work to bring things into the light. So we have 10 archetypes: the wild woman, the oracle goddess, the seductress, the cosmic queen, the warrior goddess, the awakener, the wise woman, the redirector, the alchemist, and the abundant goddess. So in the following videos, we'll go more in depth into each of these archetypes. But for now, I just want to give an overview of how we work with these archetypes in order to embody the wisdom that they hold and bring it into our daily lives, so that we're not just learning about something, because we don't need more knowledge. We need to embody. Learning about the divine feminine isn't going to make changes in your life, but knowing how to use that information to create change will. So that's why this is so important. We need to start here before we dive into all of these archetypes. So I like to break it down into 4 different ways of using this. And the first step is awareness. So simply noticing which archetypes you're resonating with, and you're saying, oh yeah, I'm doing that. I understand the light of that archetype. And then also on the flip side, seeing which ones you don't resonate with, which ones you might be suppressing within yourself, and bringing that into your awareness. Because in order to change things in our life, we have to bring them into our awareness first. You cannot change something that you're not aware of or that isn't in your consciousness. You have to bring it into your consciousness to make active change. So awareness is key. And that's why it's number 1. Second thing is reflecting on this, because bringing it into awareness is one thing, but then digging deeper, getting curious about why it's either in the light or in the shadows. Why is this archetype speaking to you in one way or another? And doing that with each and every single one of the archetypes, reflecting on them, sitting with them, thinking about it, contemplating it, journaling about it, and really being reflective and curious about your own experience and relationship with this archetype. Then it comes to action. So, of course, to make change, to manifest change in your life, you have to take action. We can talk about it, we can reflect on it, we can contemplate it, but until we take embodied action, there will be no change. So, starting with small steps. So after your reflections and after your contemplation, you should have some clarity on why this suppression is happening or why you're embodied in one archetype. Then want to start making small changes in our life in order to bring this archetype into the light, noticing and creating the space to take the guided action. And of course, this helps by having a guide and having a coach that can bring you through, giving embodiment practices and teaching you step by step how to bring these archetypes into your life. And that is exactly what I do. So if you're interested in that, stick around to the end and I'll tell you more about what I do and how I can help you. But we'll move to the 4th action, which is balance. And this is so important because this is not just something you do once and you're automatically in alignment and you bring all the archetypes into your life and embody them. It is a practice that goes on for a lifetime, because we are flowing, and the divine feminine is a flowing energy. So we come in and out of balance, but the most important part is that we're aware when we move out of balance, and we're able to use this knowledge and these tools that we gain from studying the divine feminine and embodying the divine feminine so that we can start to bring ourselves back to balance over and over and over and over again with more and more ease. So I hope that gives you a nice little introduction to the divine feminine and the archetypes that we use to understand and start to embody the divine feminine in our lives. So, like I said, I guide people into bringing the divine feminine into wholeness within their life. And as well, I studied the divine feminine in India, where the ancient practice of Shakta Tantra is from. And this is the divine feminine. So, from that and from my mindfulness practices, I have created my own techniques that bring women back into their wholeness, back into their embodiment of the divine feminine so that they can live a life that's deeply connected and aligned with their truest essence, and that they can trust themselves deeply within their lives, moving with ease and flow and bringing more joy to their lives. And if this is something that interests you, you can comment below embodied, and I will send you the link to my free mini course on the divine feminine. So this will start to bring you deeper into the divine feminine, giving you some tools and understandings so that you can start to bring it into your life. I also have a course on the divine feminine. It's called the Embodied Feminine. And so we're not just learning, we're actually embodying in this course, really working through any sort of limiting beliefs that we have, any traumas that are holding us back and not allowing us to embody the feminine. And this course at the moment is in early bird. So sales are on now. There's a few slots left at the very early bird price, but it will be going up as soon as those slots have been filled. So if this is something you're interested in, do not wait. Make sure you sign up because you'll save a lot of money by signing up now than waiting till the course launches. So if you're feeling this calling, comments below and I will send you the link. I'll also put the link in the show notes below. Anyways, I hope you have a great day, and I will be back on here soon, diving into our first archetype, which is the wild woman. See you next time.